Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
And today we're taking a look at a little game called Downtown Farmers Market, the strategy game for savvy shoppers. Just as a heads up, I love going to farmers markets, and I like shopping. This game has nothing to do with shopping, or farmers markets, really. Do you think am I correct there?
Yeah, I'm not thinking about that at all.
If you were describing this game to someone, what would you say? Shopping at a farmers market?
Or growing cheese from the ground.
It's a tile laying game where you're building a grid of 16 tiles and trying to score as many points as you can. Here's how it plays. There are 44 challenge tiles in this game. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get 4 of them randomly. And each player is going to take these 4 and pick either side of them, and you're going to place them in a row like this. Then you're going to get 4 more of these tiles after you put out the first 4, and you're going to place them, forming a 16 tile grid. Now, once the players have done that, you're going to be drawing 5 tiles from the market. And these tiles are going to show various resources on them. There's going to be 1, 2, or 3 resources per tile. Now, sometimes they will show the same resources. Sometimes they'll show different resources, so it's completely up to you. Then each player, starting with the start player, and the start player will change each round, is going to draft one of these tiles. In a 3-player game, the first person will draft one, they'll take one and remove it from the game. In a 2-player game, the first player takes one, removes one from the game. The second player takes one, removes one from the game. And in a 4-player game, you each just take one. There will be 1 left over, whichever one isn't taken. And then, so for the next round, 4 more tiles will be added to that, etc. Now, as you take these tiles, you're going to be placing them in your grid. When you place a tile in a grid, it's there forever and it can't be moved, so you have to think carefully about where you place them. You're trying to meet the requirements of these rows and columns. There's different kinds of requirements. This one says, for example, no cheese, no carrots, no bread are in this row. No eggs, no carrots, no corn. This simply gives you 1 point for each corn in that row. This says there's exactly 7 things in this column. This says there are 6 of the same thing in this column. So I have 3 corn, so 6 corn and no more. This gives 1 point per cheese, and it says there's 6 different things. You need all the different things. Let me show you a completed one that we have here. So here you can see in this one, there needs to be 9 things in this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. 2 for every milk and corn. So that one's worth 2 points, not very many. I need exactly 5 cheese. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly 3 milk. 1, 2, 3. 3 carrots and 2 milk. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 10 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at the end of the game, I would remove this tile because I did not score it. 6 of the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bread. Great. 7 of the same thing. Didn't happen, so I'd remove that tile. I then add the points on all the tiles that I didn't have to remove, and whoever has the most points is the winner. The components for the game are these tiles, and they work really well. The different things are very easy to see on them. You know, you're not going to sit there and wonder what is what. It might be a little confusing. I found some people confuse these 2 things. This means 7 exactly. This means 6 of the same thing. It's not too difficult. The game comes in a magnetic box. So magnetic opens up here. But I'll tell you what, you have to put everything in exactly so it fits. All the tiles are going to store like this, and then the box closes with the rules on top. Not a lot of room here to store this. I do like the cover of how it looks, and the rules are pretty easy to understand. I mean, they're just one long set of rules here. So overall, the components for this game are fine, slightly squished. Okay, at the beginning of the game, I think we can say, I mean, at the end, there's no theme. We said at the beginning, you're just putting out tiles. It doesn't matter. That's not a bad thing, but just don't get excited about the farmer's market. Not to mention, they show all these cool things here like watermelon and pumpkins and tractors, and none of this is in the game.
Other than the bread.
There's the cheese.
Even exist? We already have milk cartons.
Well, you eat cows. All right,
They
so
should include this stuff in the expansion or something.
what did you all think of this game? Was it an easy game to play?
I would suggest playing this like a few times in order to get used to it, because we sucked at the first game. Especially considering you didn't explain what any of the scoring
I didn't
titles
suck.
meant.
No, I explained them, but
After we chose them.
well, sure. So the first game, we did play it randomly just to see, because if you don't understand everything, I said, well, let's put out our scoring tiles randomly. That's a terrible thing to do. You do want to pick them. Some of them are much harder to do than others. Getting 7 of the same thing in a column is worth 13 points. And to do that, you need a lot. You need 2 3s of the same and a 1, or you need several 2s. It's trickier than it sounds. But overall, I thought this game is not, it's not the kind of game that you're going to talk a lot during, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the things you're mostly going to say is, how dare you, and ha-ha.
So that's one concern I have with this game. If you're somebody who takes a long time to think about where you put the stuff in your turn, you're going to take a while to pick your tile. And then when you throw one out, which happens in a 2 or 3 player game, then you look at everyone else's thing and try to pick the one that hurts everybody else the most. And yeah, you're going to feel really annoyed about that, because you're going to see that tile you want come up. There's an exact tile you need, and it comes up when you don't pick first. And then you're sitting there quietly hoping.
And then they don't look at your board and they're like, I don't need this, so.
You took my carrots.
Sure, or you just throw them out. You're like, you're not getting that this turn.
I just don't usually care. I'm like, I don't need this, so bye. For some reason, it usually hurts both of you.
Yeah, so there's a bit of that. Now, that's not in a 4-player game, but then in a 4-player game, 3 people are going to pick tiles before you, so it feels the same thing anyway. When you don't go first, you're kind of like, oh. Now, I have yet to play a game of this where I saw someone get everything. Although in our last game we played this, you got all your tiles except 1.
Yeah.
And I think you could get all, but I don't know that you could get all of them and have a lot of points. In fact, in the last game of this we played, you got all the tiles except 1, and you missed 3 tiles. I missed 2 tiles. Who won?
Me.
Violet did, because the tiles she did do were worth more points.
I tried getting a lot of the easier ones because I sucked.
I could have gotten a lot more points if you didn't take my carrots.
It's not
Oh,
that you won!
I'm so sorry. The complaining winner. I think I just talked about this yesterday.
Yes.
It's a fast game in many ways, though. I mean, it is, you are thinking, you are taking a while, but there is 16 turns. So you're going to put out 16 tiles, and your last couple tiles you put out, you're kind of like, meh, whatever. You don't have a lot of, I'm going to put it here. At the beginning of the game, you have a lot more choices. So it's small, it's fast. Not much more to say, honestly. What are your final thoughts?
I like the concept of the game. I thought it was fun. I liked how I won both times, but still.
Violet,
Okay.
that should not affect your rating.
I liked how some of them were worth more points because they were harder to do, I guess, instead of getting like the same amount of points for something that someone else could have done a lot easier than you.
Sure.
I would probably give this game like a 7.
Okay, and you?
I would say
All right, well.
it's very strategic, I will say that. It would have been nice to know what the scoring tiles meant.
Again, we fixed it after the first play. Don't act like you didn't play a game of that.
Okay.
She got murdered in the
fairly-
first game. That's why she's upset.
It's very easy to learn. I would probably a 7.5.
All right, well, for me, it's also a 7. I'm going to agree with both of you on that. I like it. It is a very thinky game. This game looks like a fun little silly game, but you are sitting there like, what tile am I going to put where? And that beginning where you put out your 4 tiles, or 8 tiles, is so important. It's really important, as Ruby has testified several times. Because when we did it randomly, you're like, oh, I said I don't want any carrots in this column. And this row says I need 7 carrots. And you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have put those across from each other. So you read this, that mic is just not sticking to you today. So I like it. It's small, it's portable, it feels different, but realize what you're getting into. You're getting into a little thinky game here. So any other things to say? Meh? All right, well, that's Downtown Farmers Market. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
Have fun shopping! Not in this game, though.